Preview: my boyfriend's childhood sweetheart was getting married. And at the wedding, the groom didn't show up. Desperate, she pointed at my boyfriend, her childhood sweetheart, and asked him to marry her instead. I was ready to slap him and leave until he grabbed my hand, panicked, and near tears. Sarah, don't set me up. Even if nobody wants you, somebody still wants me. Main story: today was Jungkook's childhood sweetheart's wedding. He dressed himself to the nines at dawn and even insisted I go full makeup to accompany him. But after hours of sitting in the venue, there wasn't a peep of progress. What is going on? The auspicious time has almost passed. I tugged Jungkook's sleeve and whispered. Jungkook frowned and shook his head. No idea. Her family is sticklers for propriety. This shouldn't be happening. I was getting impatient and was about to urge him to ask what was wrong. Jungkook's another buddy, Jimin, came back. Kim Taehyung is a real piece of work, Jimin said in a furious whisper to Jungkook. Jungkook's brows knit tighter. What did he do now? Today is his wedding day with Sarah, and because his assistant had a stomach ache, he took her and went to the hospital. The ceremony is about to start and that jerk said the wedding can be rescheduled. He dumped the mess on Sarah and left. Before the wedding had even started, the groom ran away. I had heard the love-hate saga between Sarah and her fiancé. They supposedly started dating in high school, nearly 10 years together, and things were pretty good. But ever since Taehyung's assistant showed up, Taehyung put the assistant first in everything, and Sarah suffered plenty of grievances. They said even this wedding only happened because Sarah begged and begged for it. I didn't expect Taehyung to run away, and for his assistant, no less. I felt it wasn't fair to Sarah. Thinking of Jungkook's childhood bond with her, I planned to have him ask whether she needed help. I hadn't even opened my mouth yet when Sarah walked up onto the stage, in a white wedding dress, eyes a little red. She still held her head high and looked to be in decent shape. Dear friends and family, I'm sorry. The groom, who was supposed to stand beside me today, left for another woman, Sarah said into the mic on stage. The whole hall was stunned. Who'd expect the groom to run off on the wedding day and for another woman? Taehyung's parents shot to their feet. Sarah, it's your big day. This isn't a joke you can make. Sarah gave him a cool glance, a mocking smile on her lips. Then she tapped at her phone and the big screen behind her displayed footage of Taehyung carrying a woman as he left. The final moment still froze on the woman in Taehyung's arms, giving a provocative smile. I'm not joking, uncle. You should recognize this woman, right? Taehyung's parents were livid and tried to explain, but anything they said sounded weak. Sarah remained composed. Standing in the light, she looked like a stalwart soldier. Even though the original groom has left, it's fine. The wedding can still go on without Taehyung. I, Sarah, can still be a bride. People hadn't even recovered from the shock that the groom ran off with another woman when Sarah's next words left them even more baffled. Then Sarah suddenly turned and looked our way. She drew a deep breath and spoke with expectation. Jungkook, you said, if Taehyung ever treated me badly, you'd steal me away. Does that still count? I'm giving you the chance to marry me. Do you want it? Just as I was inwardly cheering for Sarah's heroine moment, I realized my own boyfriend seemed on track to become the groom. I turned to the man beside me. Clearly, Jungkook was dazed too. Eyes wide, he stared at the woman on stage in disbelief. By now, even I could tell these two had something unresolved. Jungkook, come up and you can marry me. Sarah called again. Victory in her voice. I couldn't bear to hear any more. Bastard. No wonder he dressed up at dawn to attend. Turns out he came to see his little sweetheart. By now, I had started charging up my arm, already planning the precise, loud, stinging slap I'd planned across Jungkook's face. Sarah, don't do this to me. Even if no one wants you, someone here still wants me. Just as I raised my hand, Jungkook grabbed it, terrified. He was so nervous, his voice shook, but he was loud. Even without a mic, everyone heard him clearly. Sarah's confident smile froze on her face for a moment. She spoke incredulous. Jungkook, I'm serious. Didn't you want to marry me since we were kids? I'm willing to give you the chance now. She even shifted her foot, a touch of coquetry in the gesture. Jungkook clamped my hand in both of his hands, eyes locked tight on me. Hearing Sarah's words, he was about to cry, Y/N, don't listen to her nonsense. Then he raised his voice to the stage. Sarah, I'm here to attend your wedding. What Taehyung did is rotten and despicable. As your childhood friend, I can help denounce him. If you need, we can also go haul him back. But drafting me as a stand-in groom, that's going too far. My Y/N and I are doing great. You can't wreck our relationship like this. As he spoke, he edged closer to me as if afraid I would run. At the mention of me, Sarah seemed to finally notice my existence. She cast me a knowing look, then put on a sympathetic expression and said to me, Lee Y/N, I know you're Jungkook's girlfriend, but I'm sorry you're late. Jungkook has liked me since we were young, he confessed in high school. But I only had that scumbag Taehyung in my heart then, so I turned him down. But I know Jungkook has never let me go all these years. That's why he has always taken care of me. Right now, he's only refusing me because he feels guilty toward you, but if he loses this chance to marry me because of you, he will resent you. In the end, you'll end up like me today, so I suggest you step aside. I stared, dumbfounded by Sarah's speech. Why should I share her fate just because she was dumped by a scumbag? Seeing Sarah so certain, I gave a cold laugh and turned to Jungkook. Is that so? Jungkook shook his head at once. Of course not. He glared at the woman on stage, exasperated. Sarah, what exactly are you trying to do? Confronted with Jungkook's question, Sarah answered righteously. Jungkook, we wasted so many years because of Taehyung. I'm clear-headed now. I can't waste any more time because of Y/N. Jungkook was furious. What nonsense are you spouting? Y/N and I are great. Meeting her is the best thing that has ever happened in my life. Can you stop trying to drive a wedge between us? He instinctively reached to pull me into his arms, but I dodged. Jungkook, you'd better give me a reasonable explanation today. I wasn't buying the fate Sarah tried to assign me, but that didn't mean I felt nothing watching another woman entangling herself with my boyfriend. Y/N, there's nothing between me and her. She's just my childhood playmate, Jungkook said shamelessly, taking another step toward me. I sneered. Childhood playmate? You mean childhood sweethearts? Exactly. Jungkook and I are childhood sweethearts, Sarah cut in. Sarah, what exactly are you trying to do? Confronted with Jungkook's question, Sarah he confessed to me in high school. I'm his white moonlight. You'd better think twice about competing with me. White moonlight, my ass. Jungkook exploded. My white moonlight is IU. Can you compare to IU? Yes, I confessed to you in high school, but it's been years. I let it go ages ago. I don't like you. I like Y/N now. Can you stop dragging up childhood stuff? Seething, Jungkook tugged me to leave. Y/N, let's go. This wedding is cursed. I was going to catch the bouquet and propose to you, but the groom ran away and the bride's grabbing random men. Must be the hotel's bad pungsu. Only then did I realize the reason Jungkook dressed up at dawn and wanted me in full makeup. He planned to catch the bouquet and propose. And I thought it was for Sarah. Jungkook, you can't go. It's my wedding. What am I supposed to do if you just leave? Seeing he really meant to walk, Sarah panicked, ran off the stage, and blocked our path. It's your wedding, and it can't go on. Go find your groom. Why are you looking for me? Jungkook fumed, practically hopping mad. Jungkook, you're my groom, Sarah said on the verge of tears. I am not. Your groom is Taehyung. Jungkook roared. But Sarah shook her head as she cried. Jungkook, Taehyung doesn't love me. He only hurts me. I don't want him to be my groom. I only want you. She moved as if to throw herself into Jungkook's arms. Jungkook yanked me aside. Sarah, don't stage a scene here. I don't love you and I don't want to be your groom. Impossible. Sarah screamed, shouting. How could you not want to be my groom? All these years watching me get hurt by Taehyung, shouldn't you have felt sorry for me? Guarding me in silence, waiting for me to wake up. I'm awake now. Why wouldn't you marry me? Jungkook froze, after a long beat, he said in shock, all these years I treated you as a good friend, and in your head, you cast me in this repulsive, spineless role. I couldn't hold back. I burst out laughing. It wasn't just me. Many guests snorted, too. At the laughter, Sarah swung her gaze to glare at me as if finding an outlet. Y/N, it's you. Because of you, Jungkook won't wait for me. What kind of potion did you feed him? She lunged at me. Sarah's parents and relatives rushed to intervene, but Sarah moved fast. She charged right up and raised her hand to slap me. Seeing the slap coming down, I lifted my own hand without hesitation to strike back. A sharp crack rang through the hall. Only one because Jungkook caught Sarah's wrist mid-swing and stopped her. My slap, though, landed clean across Sarah's face. Sarah clutched her cheek in disbelief. Jungkook, didn't you see? She hit me. I saw you tried to hit her. She defended herself, Jungkook said coldly. Jungkook, how can you treat me like this? We're childhood sweethearts and you do this to me for some woman. Sarah demanded, playing the wrong victim. You just tried to hit my girlfriend. What do you expect me to do? Jungkook replied ice cold. Some people in the room were thrilled by the drama. Others cringed on Sarah's behalf. Sarah's parents finally stepped in. Jungkook, Sarah's been wrong today. She didn't mean it. Look, you two grew up together. You and Sarah have a good relationship. She's not wrong. If you two ended up together, we elders would be relieved. No one expected that even now, Sarah's parents would be as unreasonable as she was. Jungkook couldn't very well blow up at elders. Swallowing his anger, he tried and failed to scold them and could only drag me toward the exit. But Sarah sobbed and screamed, refusing to let us go, insisting Jungkook stay and marry her. Her parents shouted too that their daughter had dumped the scumbag for Jungkook and Jungkook was much better than Taehyung. They all tugged on Jungkook, refusing to let him leave. The scene devolved into chaos. Jungkook's face flushed with rage. His clothes were tearing as he clutched me and tried to leave. Clearly, he hadn't imagined any of this would happen. I took a deep breath and yelled, enough? So, the groom is missing? I'll go fetch him for you. I strode forward, grabbed Sarah, and hauled her toward the door. What are you doing? Sarah yelped, panicking as I dragged her, but she wasn't stronger than me. I pulled her out of the hotel and shouted, getting your husband. I shoved her into my car, buckled her in by force. By then, Jungkook, Sarah's parents, and half the rubberneckers had followed us out. I waved Jungkook into the passenger seat, started the engine, and pulled away. Jungkook, still shaken, said, Y/N, you're the best. Where to now? To find her husband, Taehyung, I said, glancing at the woman in the back seat. At that, Sarah rebelled. I don't want to. Don't go find him. I don't want him anymore. I'm marrying Jungkook. She screamed, struggling in the car, even unbuckled and lunged to grab my steering wheel. I stamped on the accelerator and shouted back, sit down and shut up, or I'll take you with me to the grave. The speed made her wobble. Panic hit. She fumbled her seatbelt back on and didn't dare say another word. I drove while telling Jungkook to find out exactly which hospital Taehyung had taken his assistant to. At the same time, I noticed Sarah's family had also pulled out and were following us by car. Once we learned which hospital Taehyung was at, I got us there quickly and hauled Sarah out of the car. She still wanted to struggle, but when I barked, don't you want to see what Taehyung is doing right now? Her resistance visibly weakened. She wore an expression of refusal, but her body obediently followed my lead. I dragged Sarah straight into the ER ward. A woman was half reclining in Taehyung's arms. Taehyung was holding a cup and feeding her water. At the sound of us entering, Taehyung looked up and at first glance saw Sarah in her wedding dress. He seemed flustered and tried to push the woman away. But when he realized more than just Sarah had come, his face turned cold at once. Sarah, didn't I say we can hold the wedding next time? What are you doing? Seeing the man who was supposed to marry her cuddling another woman, Sarah's eyes reddened on the spot. She swayed forward and demanded through red-rimmed eyes, Taehyung, is this what you meant by you and this woman being perfectly innocent? By then, Sarah's family had caught up. Seeing Taehyung holding another woman, they all rounded on him in fury, demanding an explanation. Only then did Taehyung carefully release the woman in his arms. He stood and came to face Sarah. Sarah, just because I said we're rescheduling, you bring your family to the hospital to make a scene. Since when did you become so vicious? Rachel is my employee. She felt unwell at my wedding. What's wrong with me bringing her to the hospital? I promised you, after a few days, I'll make it up to you with a brand new wedding. Why are you being unreasonable? Honestly, even I was furious at Taehyung's shamelessness. If my man pulled this and then shoved the blame on me, I would slap him and dump him on the spot. I didn't like what Sarah had done, but I still looked to her in hope, hoping she would be as tough with Taehyung as she'd been swapping out the groom at the wedding. Unfortunately, I was disappointed. Sarah had already put away that wedding day resolve. Hurt filled her face, yet she bit her lip as if forcing herself to be strong. In a tear-thick voice, she said, I don't want your makeup wedding. Save it for you and your Rachel. I already have my own groom. Taehyung's eyes bulged in rage. Do you even hear yourself? What do you mean you already have your own groom? Faced with his anger, Sarah went a shade paler. Her expressions and gestures made me feel like I was watching a brainless mini-drama. Taehyung, I'm telling you, this time you've lost me for good. I won't marry you. I'm already preparing to marry another man, she said, voice trembling. Taehyung was obviously provoked and was about to grab her arm and demand what she meant. From the bed, the woman called Rachel spoke weakly, Sister Sarah, I know you're only saying that out of spite because of me. There's really nothing between me and President Kim. Don't say something so irresponsible just because you dislike me. You'll disappoint President Kim. Her tone made my palms itch to slap someone. Taehyung clearly took her words to heart, decided Sarah was talking nonsense, and his face went glacial. Sarah, stop being so willful. Learn from Rachel. Sarah's face, already pale, drained of the last trace of color. Head bowed, she was silent for a long moment before she spoke. Taehyung, you won't have to put up with my willfulness anymore. I've decided to marry Jungkook. From now on, he'll tolerate my willfulness, everything about me. You've lost me completely. She said it as if bidding a final farewell, pitiful and heartbroken. Jungkook couldn't take it anymore. Hold on. Since when does your decision make it so? I never said I'd marry you. And why is it he doesn't have to tolerate your tantrums, but I do? Sarah, are you sick today? We thought bringing Sarah to Taehyung would let them resolve their own farce. We didn't expect Sarah to keep dragging us into it. Jungkook, don't worry. This time I'll do as I say. I will marry you. As long as you cut things off with Y/N, I won't mind, Sarah said as if she hadn't heard Jungkook at all, talking to herself. But while she spoke, her eyes were fixed on Taehyung, as if she were saying it for his benefit. Taehyung had been angry when Sarah claimed she'd married Jungkook. But after hearing Jungkook refuse, he only gave a cold snort. Sarah, look at you. Who besides me would want you? Put away those cheap tricks. When Rachel recovers, I'll make it up to you with a brand new wedding. If you keep making a fuss, then we won't get married at all. He returned to Rachel's side and resumed coaxing his assistant to drink her water, not sparing Sarah a single glance. When Sarah's family looked ready to continue making a scene, he started calling for a nurse to throw people out. Sarah watched her supposed fiancé hold another woman and refused to so much as look at her. Tears pulled in her eyes and finally spilled over. Honestly, I felt a bit sorry for her and took a tissue from my bag to offer some comfort. I didn't expect her to slap my hand away. Y/N, you brought me here on purpose to drive a wedge between Jungkook and me, didn't you? Give it up. I have decided to marry Jungkook, and I won't regret it. Her reaction left me baffled. Are you crazy? Will you die if you don't get married? If the man you want doesn't want you, you snatch someone else's boyfriend to wed. You think Jungkook will marry you? Go ahead, try. I was done being nice to this lunatic. I grabbed Jungkook and headed out. Seeing I was willing to take him with me, Jungkook trailed after me like a happy puppy. Behind us, Sarah shouted in defiance, Y/N, don't get cocky. Jungkook will register our marriage with me. I'm the one he loves. Be smart and bow out on your own or you'll regret it later. Jungkook and I ignored her grand declarations. But once we were out of the hospital, I yanked my hand from his and said coolly, "Talk. What's going on with you and your little childhood sweetheart?" At that Jungkook looked at me with woeful puppy eyes. Y/N, I'll explain everything to you. Don't dump me, okay? I gave him a flat look. Explain first, then we'll see. Jungkook pulled me into the car and helplessly began to tell me about Sarah and him. He and Sarah grew up together. In high school, when first love blooms, he did fall for the quiet, well-behaved girl at his side and confessed. But Sarah already had Taehyung, the top student, in her heart. So, she turned Jungkook down. Back then, Jungkook already looked down on Taehyung for stringing Sarah along without making things clear, which led to Sarah being ostracized by other girls. So, Jungkook told Sarah that if Taehyung ever hurt her, he'd steal her back. Later, Taehyung really did hurt Sarah. Jungkook urged her to see Taehyung's scummy nature for what it was. She cursed Jungkook out, accusing him of smearing Taehyung just to win her. She chose to suffer for love at Taehyung's side. Jungkook isn't the self-abasing type. After being chewed out, he let it go and moved on with his life. Because their families were close, he did keep an eye out for her, but he never expected she'd rope him into her wedding. He sighed helpless, I really want to smack my past self for confessing back then. Look at the mess I've got now. Then he looked at me anxiously. Y/N, believe me, I love you. I won't have anything to do with Sarah. Seeing how nervous he was and remembering how he'd acted today, I chose to believe him for now. Listen, Jungkook, if you ever do get tangled up with some first love or white moonlight, I'll make you wish you were dead. Jungkook swore on the spot. I swear, it is never going to happen. Then, unable to help himself, he added. My white moonlight is really IU. She wouldn't get tangled up with me either. I couldn't help laughing. If it really were IU, I'd kick you out and date her myself. Back home, still rattled, Jungkook put himself on leave and decided to stay in with me for a few days. Sarah's acting loopy lately. I'm afraid she'll block me at the office, he said, righteous as anything. I didn't think she could cause him much trouble at work, but having him home with me was nice. The nice time lasted one day. On day 2, a bunch of Jungkook's relatives called to condemn him for abandoning Sarah for an outsider. Even Jungkook's mom called to rip into him. Jungkook, you said you'd only ever love Y/N and grow old with her. Now, why are you entangled with Sarah? What are you playing at? Do you know this is scumbag behavior? You're hurting both Y/N and Sarah. How did I raise a son like you? Mom John was clearly furious. She flayed Jungkook alive over the phone, barely letting him get a word in. In the end, I cut in, Auntie, Jungkook hasn't hurt me. At that, Mom John didn't stop attacking Jungkook. Then he hurt Sarah. Jungkook, what did I teach you since you were little? You're hurting girls now. Only after we both explained in detail and produced evidence did Mom John finally understand. After a pause, she said, that Sarah girl, has she lost her mind from being hurt by a scumbag? Why is she set on ruining my son? Jungkook, answer me honestly. Is there really nothing going on with you and Sarah? Jungkook immediately swore there was nothing between them. Only then did Mom John relax, though still annoyed. Now, the Yoon family is telling all our relatives you abandoned Sarah, that Sarah broke off her engagement for you, and then you ditched her for another woman. They're saying the wedding was cancelled because of you, and you turned your back on her, dumping the whole pot on your head. We all grew up on the same block. Now the relatives are saying you handled this badly and should marry Sarah. She sounded exasperated. I'm not marrying her. I think she's insane, Jungkook said flatly. Mom John wasn't having any of it either. Son, just wait. I'm going to turn the public opinion around. We're not taking the blame. She hung up, clearly off to wage a PR battle. Jungkook and I were both helpless at the news. We hadn't expected Sarah to take it this far. Jungkook immediately tried to call and confront her, but she didn't pick up. That surprised him. Last night, she spam called me till I shut my phone off. Now she won't answer. Maybe she knows she was wrong and is hiding. I didn't think that matched Sarah's brand of crazy. Sure enough, not long after, Mom John called again. Son, get to the Civil Affairs Bureau. This is absurd. In a panic, she told Jungkook to hurry over. Sarah had milked sympathy from Jungkook's uncle's family. His uncle is a straight arrow. After Sarah's tearful spiel, he decided Jungkook deserved to die if he wouldn't marry Sarah. Just then, because Jungkook had some company paperwork to handle, his ID was with his cousin. And that cousin happens to look a bit like Jungkook. Egged on by Sarah, Uncle actually told the cousin to take Jungkook's ID and go register a marriage with Sarah. Now the cousin's phone was off. No way to reach him. At that news, Jungkook shot to his feet, grabbed me, and bolted for the door. Has the world gone mad? You can substitute people for marriage registration now. It did sound insane to me until I remembered Sarah trying to swap grooms at her wedding. Then it felt almost in character. Normally, Jungkook is a careful driver. This time, he flew, getting us to the Civil Affairs Bureau in just over 20 minutes. We jumped out and rushed inside. At the entrance, we saw Sarah dragging Jungkook's cousin toward the doors, shouting, "Your dad agreed. You have to register with me today. But this isn't proper. If my cousin finds out, he'll kill me." The cousin yelped, trying to bolt. "Once I register with your cousin, I'll be your cousin's wife. Then he'll have to listen to me, and he won't hit you. And your cousin loves me so much. If you help him register with me, he'll thank you," Sarah said, still tugging the cousin forward. She had 2 relatives backing her up. The cousin couldn't break free. Jungkook ran straight over and yanked his cousin away. Seeing him, the cousin mumbled guilty, "Cousin, it was Dad's idea. You know what he says goes in our house." Jungkook shot him a glare. "We'll settle this later." "Jungkook, you're here. You came to register with me." Sarah perked up at the sight of Jungkook and reached for his arm. He dodged her like she was contagious. "Sarah, what have you turned into? Getting someone to impersonate me to register? That's a crime, you know that? Are you insane?" Getting yelled at, Sarah wilted, her lips trembling as if she might cry. "Jungkook, I know it's wrong, but I really want to marry you. Do you know I had a dream? In the dream, I stayed trapped in my relationship with Taehyung and missed you. His mistress bullied me, and in the end, I was literally angered to death. Now I've seen Taehyung for the scumbag he is. I don't want to miss you again. You don't want to miss me either, right? Jungkook, we can finally be together." I stared at Sarah in astonishment. She sounded like a rebirth novel heroine. Was she actually unwell? "Sarah, you," Jungkook seemed at a loss for how to communicate with her. He drew a long breath. "Listen carefully. I don't care what happens in your dreams. I don't like you anymore. I love Y/N now. Please stop bothering me. This is the last time. If you pull something like this again, don't blame me for calling the police." He took my hand and turned to go. Sarah, seeing us leave, reached for Jungkook, only for him to recoil in disgust. She turned her sights on me instead, grabbed my sleeve, and shouted, Y/N, please give Jungkook back to me. Okay, he's all I have now. You're so outstanding. You'll definitely find your true destined one. Why fight me for mine? Do you like being the other woman that much? She screamed, drawing the attention of everyone curious about the commotion. In no time, the entrance to the Civil Affairs Bureau was packed. With more eyes gathering, she grew even more agitated. Can someone help me? My boyfriend and I were about to register, and because of this woman's interference, he's abandoning me. Is it just because I'm weak that you all bully me? Y/N, please give Jungkook back to me, okay? The onlookers saw her weeping so pitifully that their gazes toward me turned disgusted. Some had already begun to accuse me. You look decent enough, but you're a home wrecker. They were about to get married. Why did you have to stick your foot in? Breaking up a couple brings retribution. Exactly. I'm going to film this vicious woman and post it online for everyone to see. Someone had already raised a phone to record me. Seeing people speak up for her, Sarah cried even harder, clutching my arm, tears like pear blossoms and rain, she said, Y/N, being a mistress never ends well. You don't want your reputation ruined. Do you? As long as you back out and let Jungkook marry me, I won't hold it against you. At the side, Jungkook ground his teeth. Sarah, Y/N is my girlfriend. She's the one I'm going to marry. Can you stop making a scene? But Sarah didn't listen to him at all. She just clung to me, sobbing, begging me to give Jungkook back. Bystanders urged me not to ruin a young couple's relationship. I actually laughed in anger, grabbed Sarah by the hair, and slapped her, putting my full strength into it. Her cheek ballooned instantly. Yet, instead of getting angry at being hit, she only continued, if you need to vent, hit me. But please give Jungkook back to me. The crowd grew even more incensed that I'd struck her and moved in to pull me away. I didn't give them the chance and shouted, Sarah, did being dumped by a scumbag scramble your brains? See a man and you want to marry him? 2 days ago, you were hosting your own wedding banquet. Your scumbag groom ran away and now you're snatching my boyfriend. Everyone listens up. Do not get entangled with this lunatic. Once she latches on, you can't shake her off. I pulled out my phone and opened the photos I'd taken at her wedding. The date was on the backdrop and there were Sarah and Taehyung's wedding portraits. I showed them to the crowd. See, my boyfriend and I were only guests at her wedding. Her groom ran and she grabbed my boyfriend and tried to marry him. If that's not crazy, what is? Be careful or this mad woman will drag you off to register a marriage. Once people saw what was in the photos, they all took a collective step back. So, it's true. Her own groom ran, so she's stealing someone else's boyfriend. And she accused this young lady of being a mistress. I even helped scold her just now. Shame on me. The tide turned. Sarah shook her head and shouted, it's not like that. It's not like that. Jungkook loves me, what's wrong with me wanting to marry him? But the way she looked only made her seem more deranged, and someone immediately called the police to take away the crazy woman. I pulled Jungkook's cousin forward and spoke, voice edged with a sob. We felt sorry for her, hurt by a scumbag, so we didn't want to make a fuss, but she tried to make my boyfriend's cousin impersonate him to register a marriage. That's a crime. When the cousin refused, she tried to drag him in by force. Among the onlookers, someone remembered and said, yeah, I saw those two tussling right here. I thought it was just relationship drama, but it was about impersonating the cousin to register. That's criminal. Sarah still wanted to argue, but no one believed a word she said anymore. Even the relatives who came with her, ashamed, slunk off to the side. Just then, with the call already placed, the police arrived. Jungkook pointed at Sarah and said, Officer, this woman must be unwell. She's forcing me to marry her. I have a girlfriend. She's trying to coerce me. The officers had never seen a case like this and were momentarily baffled. Sarah seized the chance, Officer. Jungkook is supposed to marry me. Make him register with me right now. The scene got even messier. So, I hurried to the police and laid everything out. They reviewed the evidence I provided, plus witness statements that Sarah had tried to force Jungkook to register and had pushed his cousin to impersonate him. It appears Miss Yun has suffered a psychological break due to the trauma of being jilted, one officer said, frowning. Where are her family? Why haven't you taken her to a hospital for treatment? Sarah's relatives, unwilling to keep up the farce, stepped forward at once and said they would take her to a psychiatric hospital. No, I'm not sick. Jungkook, why didn't you wait for me? Didn't you see how Taehyung betrayed me? You should have guarded me in silence, waited for me to wake up, then married me and cherished me so much that Taehyung regretted it for life. Why are you rejecting me? Why? Sarah broke free of her family's restraint like a mad woman and lunged at Jungkook. He had nowhere to retreat and she grabbed his collar, but he still told her firmly, "I'm sorry. Liking you was in high school. You turned me down. I let you go. Now I love Y/N. No, impossible. You're with her only because her name sounds the same as mine. Don't fool yourself, Jungkook," Sarah said, shaking her head. I glanced at Jungkook. Was that why? He shoved Sarah away at once, face flushed with anger. Sarah, did you skip language class in school? My girl is Y/N. You're Sarah. How are those the same? Have you read so many web novels your brain's gone mush? Everyone, including the police, now saw Sarah wasn't in her right mind. Even her relatives stepped up to haul her away. Enough. You said Jungkook would marry you. That's why we came. Isn't this shameful enough? Get to a hospital and get your head checked. Your parents never should have let you act like this. Sarah stared at Jungkook in disbelief. How? How can that be? You can tell us apart? Obviously, I'm not illiterate or blind. Why wouldn't I? Jungkook rolled his eyes. So, you really don't love me? You're really going to marry Y/N? Sarah asked, despairing. The way she looked at Jungkook gave me a chill, exactly the same gaze she'd had for Taehyung in the hospital. Jungkook put an arm around me and nodded. That's right. If I ever marry, it'll be Y/N, provided she wants to marry me. At that, Sarah turned her gaze on me, startled. I never thought I'd lose to you. It shouldn't be like this. I'm Jungkook's first love, his white moonlight. Why would I lose to you? Did you get something on him and force him to give me up for you? I could only think her illness was serious. Why would you assume he loves me because I'm blackmailing him? Why not? Heaven gave me a do-over so I could correct my mistake. Now I've corrected it, but Jungkook's the one making a mistake. It must be because of you, Sarah said, on the brink of hysteria. Why is it that even after I actively gave up Taehyung and fixed my error, I still end up abandoned? I refuse to accept it. I refuse. Her eyes were bloodshot, she truly looked unwell. Seeing that, the officers moved in to restrain her, afraid she'd do something extreme. Jungkook shielded me behind him, worried, and told the police to take her away quickly. Confronted with Jungkook's look of sheer disgust, Sarah suddenly laughed wildly. Jungkook, you'll regret giving me up. You'll lose me forever. Do you understand? Jungkook, you'll regret losing me. In the end, Sarah was taken away by force. Jungkook and I took his cousin home and retrieved his ID. When his uncle learned what had happened, he apologized to Jungkook, but Jungkook didn't forgive him. You can be upright, he said. But you don't get to decide my marriage. Because of this, their family grew distant from the uncles. As for Sarah, Jungkook cut all ties between the families and any business deal in G stopped. Sarah's parents later came to apologize and said they had admitted her to a psychiatric hospital. They hoped the John family would continue looking out for the Yoon family in business, but Jungkook's parents showed them the door. Worried that more nonsense might erupt between us because of all this, Jungkook carefully and quickly planned a proposal and asked me to marry him. Our relationship was good to begin with and Jungkook gives so much to our relationship, so I accepted. We held our engagement banquet a month later. On the day of the banquet, Jungkook got a message on KakaoTalk. It was from Sarah, a photo of her and Taehyung's marriage certificate. Apparently, from the psychiatric hospital, Sarah found a way to contact Taehyung and apologized. Supposedly, he still loved her. He picked her up immediately. He even claimed he'd take revenge on the John family for Sarah, but it was just talk with no real action. Who'd have thought they would marry in the end? Looking at the photo of their marriage certificate, I thought, maybe they really are made for each other. Jungkook glanced at it with disgust, then logged out of his account. I'm done with this handle. Just knowing Sarah's on it makes my skin crawl. He was pledging loyalty, and I certainly wasn't going to stop him. After the engagement, Jungkook grew even more brazen with the title of fiancé. Any man who came near me, he wanted to challenge. He took possessiveness to the limit. Soon, everyone in the circle knew Jungkook guarded his fiancé like a dog guards its bowl. People joked that when it came to his wife, he was a mad dog. He didn't get mad. In fact, he thought it meant he was awesome. As for Sarah and Taehyung, after marriage, beauty swarmed around Taehyung. Sarah sat pale-faced every day watching her husband cuddle other women, showing no reaction at all. But I knew that in private she kept messaging Jungkook, saying Taehyung only did it to get her attention, that her heart was dead now, she wouldn't be sad for Taehyung anymore. At first, she said Jungkook still had time to regret it and she would give him a chance. When Jungkook ignored her, she said she had given up on him, too. That all men deserve to die. Later, she begged Jungkook to save her. She didn't want to be trapped in her marriage to Taehyung. Jungkook never replied to any of it. How do I know? Because that KakaoTalk account stayed logged in on my spare phone.
The end.